I was a pretty big fan of Monolith's first outing into Mordor, and it seems I wasn't alone with that opinion. Many players within the industry would concur that Shadow of Mordor didn't necessarily reinvent the wheel with some of its features and mechanics, but the Nemesis system, which naturally crafted story threads that progressed organically as the player interacted with the world and characters within it, is likely one of the most innovative ideologies to be implemented into a video game during recent memory. So, with the sequel slated for release in less than a month, you'd have thought that fans of the first game would be rife with anticipation and excitement. However, it pains me to say that the atmosphere surrounding the new sequel Shadow of War is undoubtedly colourless, and it's not necessarily ill-founded. You see, not too long ago, Monolith Productions posted an online blog post introducing the vision of what they call the market. Through this in-game marketplace, players will be able to purchase your typical loot chests, war chests, and experience boosts for real-world money, which will grant access to cosmetic vanity items, new orcs to bolster the Bright Lord's army, and experience boosts that will accelerate the player's progression through the game's skill trees. Now let's not kid ourselves, it's 2017, and we're by no means strangers to microtransactions currently. Battlefield has offered quick unlock packs in every game since 3 in 2011, Call of Duty is renowned for its outrageous quantity of cosmetic customization packs that can be purchased using real-world money. Both Quake Champions and Overwatch accommodate a loot box system that randomly awards players with cosmetic customization items. What most of these titles have in common is that the content made available through a microtransaction can also be earned through the natural progression of playing the game, rendering them relatively unobtrusive, and what all of these titles have in common is that they're multiplayer titles. The cosmetic items earned in these titles have value to players because they're visible to the other players within the game world. Some players take great pride in showing off a little flair when competing online. For the most part, I'd say that we accept microtransactions in these games nonchalantly. I certainly don't feel as though cosmetic inclusions such as these are intrusive in any way. They may not be something that I'll buy myself, I'd much rather earn in-game items manually so that I can sit back at the end and feel somewhat accomplished with myself, but I understand that there is a market for these kinds of sales out there. Not every gamer has the time to spend hours upon hours grinding up experience points to access that one high-level weapon that they want to use. If they feel that purchasing a shortcut kit is worth their investment, then that's totally fine with me. If the game is balanced in a way that the high-level weapons aren't overpowered in a way that makes it a pay-to-win purchase, I take no issue with the system. The progression of a game with microtransactions must always be balanced in favour of the invested player if a system like this is to succeed. What I mean by this is, you shouldn't get to the point where the grind for the item you desire becomes so monotonous and lengthy that you feel as though the only way you'll ever gain access to the item is through purchasing the shortcut kit. This is something that I feel many are worried about with more and more microtransactions appearing in games nowadays, and it's something that, if they wanted to, publishers could take advantage of. Although, as we saw with Deus Ex Mankind Divided, when players see business practice that they strongly disapprove of, voting with your wallet tends to have a pretty substantial impact. But back to Shadow of War, where do microtransactions come in here? Well, actually, on paper at least, it appears Shadow of War is matching all of those games that I mentioned previously regarding the implementation of them. The new Social Conquest mode is something of an endgame feature that allows the player to set up a fortress defense by filling it with war chiefs and overlords from their army and post it online for other players to attempt to conquer. You can of course attempt to conquer other players' fortresses too, and there's even a ranked mode that puts your own army's forces on the line should the battle turn ill in your favour. Think Pokemon Go gym battles if you ever got involved with those. The reward for completing these objectives is more loot chests and war chests, the same ones that you can purchase for real world money, that provide you with new orcs for your army, new weapons and gear, as well as experience boosts. Looking at the bigger picture, why are microtransactions being implemented here? The first Middle-earth game didn't have them, so why do Warner Bros. Interactive feel that they're needed here? It all comes down to business, just like everything these days. The gaming industry is a profitable one, riding on massive marketing budgets that raise hype levels up to crazy heights, resulting in some enthusiastic players throwing money at anything related to a game that they love so unconditionally. It's something that you can really get a tangible sense of when observing the crowds at E3 press conferences. With this sequel very much riding on the success of the first game, it's no surprise really that its publisher would try a few things to squeeze a little bit more money from its consumers. No doubt this is the same frame of mind that inspired the rather pricey tiered game versions that will be available at launch. Where I feel Warner Bros. Have gone wrong here is that it seems too obvious. The combination of microtransactions, numerous pre-order bonuses, extortionate deluxe editions that lock exclusive content behind paywalls, it all makes it appear that the publisher is greedy and that all they want is the money in your pocket. What should really be in a publisher's best interest is retention, ensuring that players of this game will be up for playing another one of their games in a few years' time, because then that ensures the sale of another $60 unit. However, the cost of games development is on the rise, which is why we're beginning to see more and more games adopt a GaaS business model. Bearing in mind that I'm stretching my level of expertise a little beyond what I'm comfortable with here, I've no qualifications to say I know what I'm talking about with regards to this sort of business, more so than the boffins that they no doubt have over at Warner Brothers. I'm sure that what they're doing is in the best interest of the business, but is it in the best interest of the player? To round it all up, not really. It states numerous times in the announcement post for the market that microtransactions are not required to enjoy the complete game experience. As the game is yet to be released, it's too early to tell whether the game is paced accordingly, and the pricing of the microtransactions are also unannounced at the time of production. But it still stands that the publisher is offering the opportunity to spend more money to access content that you've already paid $60+ to access, which in the minds of some is unacceptable. In the case of Shadow of War, it doesn't yet seem as though any of these transactions are pay to win, nor do they seem to be essential, so you could technically ignore them if you're able. The fact remains that they're still there, however, and the real problem is that if this business practice becomes standard, then other publishers will pick it up and may use it in a more exploitative manner. With the gas business model that I mentioned earlier becoming ever more popular, that's not out of the question. I think that the best way to handle this situation, like most in the gaming industry, is to vote with your wallets. If publishers like Warner Brothers Interactive see that the market for microtransactions isn't as big as they believe it to be, then it's possible that they'll scale back the implementation of systems like this in their future titles, and maybe other publishers will follow suit. We can only hope. As always, this is just one man's opinion, and I'd love to hear yours down in the comments section below. Will you be purchasing any of Shadow of War's microtransactions, or has the implementation of them made you want to boycott the game entirely, like many of the players seem to be doing? I'd love to hear your take on this. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, why not subscribe? Maybe even consider enabling notifications so that you never miss an upload. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch to keep up to date with what's going on with me personally. You've been watching Major, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one.